Alright, so this was my level. It was a collab between me and Kerzo, and it was my level for Box's hashtag the basics contest. And basically, that contest was you can only use items that existed in Mario Maker 1. So since I made Mario Maker 1 levels, I feel like it kind of had an advantage, but it does still feel different for the different game. And also, we didn't win, we got second place, so that's pretty cool. The first thing here, start the level, there's some skewers, there's this thing. So you jump up on that platform, this blows up, and then these fall down. So the way these fall down is just because the rocky wrenches are on this blue platform and they're off screen, so they're like a placeholder, not fully loaded thing until you scroll the screen up, and then they actually do that. And rocky wrenches just kind of, when they try to burrow, they fall through everything that they can't burrow in. So that's why I have skewers here. It's just because skewers are like big and solid, but the moles can fall through them. And I need the spike tops there just because from what I could tell, the moles themselves can't actually kill you for some reason. I thought they did, but sure. This setup is just a muncher, which is blocked by these blocks, but when the platform going in front of it makes it come out, that's because I don't know, that's just how it works. Then when these launchers fall, they hit this bomb to blow up that POW. That kills the moles so that they're not just alive and around. Of course, you just do that. Come over here. So the next troll is that you die to that spike. So the way that works is kind of interesting. It's because these launchers land on this blue platform, and that's lower than a semi-solid or other block. Okay. So that's lower, and then this thing has a gap where the left launcher is, so you kind of step down onto the launchers and hit the corner of the spike. Other troll, if you jump up here, springs fall down and block you. That's just a mole with a cannon holding them up. One of the challenges with this restriction is like figuring out how to trigger stuff when you don't have on-off switches. Since that's the way you'd usually do it in Mario Maker 2, all of these setups have to kind of trigger themselves. This here is the first setup by Kerzo. So like, that prana comes from a note block just so that it can be centered. You see, it didn't work, okay. Oh yeah, this muncher would usually die from that POW. If I start here, spawn, okay. See, it carries it over a little bit. That's just because it runs onto the note block. And we have this launcher here, which when this note block gets pushed down, the launcher is able to go on it. So it also bounces and pushes the mole up more. Then it just runs over here, hits this note block. All of this other stuff is just a distraction. The note block thing here is kind of a joke because you can't do a spike ball chain when you aren't allowed to have spike balls. You know, that's good. A random track here is actually just distraction for this wiggler cannon. You probably noticed that. This is a death pipe, and this is another death pipe. They're from the same troll, and we'll get to that later. So you go in here. This setup with the cannon off screen is this. We got note blocks push it off, and then this burner falls down and pushes it a little bit to the right. You can see it, but whatever, you can see like a little bit. People still jump in there. People see the thing and then jump in there to see what happens instead of actually getting tricked. whatever, I don't care. This thing is just, when you load the screen this far, shell spawns, boops that note block. It's kind of interesting that it actually gets hit up and the shell keeps going to the left, but whatever, and that's the thing. So, at this point, if you notice the mushroom bounced on these note blocks and it went back to the right, that's a troll. I don't know how many people will fall for that. So, and now look, that POW that lifted the mushroom up also lands in that clown car. And that's important because that is what causes this to happen. So this setup is pretty much just what it's just what you can see, which is always fun. When the POW gets in this clown car, it's like stuck under that ceiling and it doesn't want to be under that ceiling for some reason. So when you go, as soon as you go to the right of it, it'll shoot up through the right launcher and lift this one and do the troll. This swamp was originally supposed to go to the left, but sideways swamps are banned from the contest, so spraying into the guy. Behind this one way exists because a mushroom platform behind it, and this is also hiding that. Let's see. Yeah, also fish. Specifically lined up so that this fish goes to this corner so that you get hit by it. Okay, this thing. So this is where Bowser is. It's a kind of a fun, interesting setup with Bowser. So usually Bowser will shoot fire and it sucks and is annoying. So like you'd have it where you're over by this swamp and stuff, right? But Bowser's shooting fireballs and they just go really far because Bowser spawns far away and does that. But if you spawn block him, he won't shoot fireballs. But he still spawns, so basically what's happening is that he gets spawn blocked by this while really far away. But then as you come close, this bomb will blow up. It opens that space, so by the time the actual loading position gets to where Bowser is, it's open and he can spawn there and bounce up into place. Also this Bowser troll is Kerzo's, but the layer with the P-switch is not. The way that P-switch works is just when you go to the right to grab the helmet, you load in you load in this block that comes down here. It's this bomb. These are spawn blocked the first time, but when that event sheet falls down here and blows that up, then it takes a long time for it to kill Bowser with the helmet. So like you're sitting around here waiting, that block goes down, hits the bomb, and then when you go to the right, this gets hit and you fall down. And you can't see anything down at the bottom here, which I like. Also, this needed to be an infinite P-switch because otherwise you could just let it run out. I don't know why you would, but we had to prevent that, so P-switch and random muncher in the wall. Alright, then you go in the key door. Not here, not here. You go in the key door and you end up in this place right before the checkpoint. So you come out the key door and then there's a thing. When the P-switch runs out, it triggers this setup, and this thing looks really complicated, but so this is to open the wall. This bomb and muncher basically just exists to kill this stuff when you respawn from the checkpoint, so it doesn't do things. So that's not part of the actual setup. The actual flying machine setup is just this one up, the mole, the boot, the wings bike top, which is just here so that it will actually fly, or the wing spike top is just here so it will actually pick you up. And this muncher, which gets pushed into place by these 1-ups the same way as the previous thing with the off-screen cannon, just gets pushed over. The muncher only has to get pushed into place because of this guy, so that this could just be placed here. The flying setup is really weird, and I'm not sure exactly how it works. There's like a one-way in there and coins. Basically, when the piece runs out, this hits that, something, the muncher falls down, and they go in the note block, something, it flies away. I don't know. This Kerzo gave me this setup for the tech, so I don't know exactly how it works. Then of course we got the classic, the Kerzo block. Also, this is makes it real fun to clear check because it's right before a checkpoint, so this doesn't matter for actual players. But this is a full P-switch. This is a Bowser kill wait followed by a full P-switch wait followed by a full bomb wait. So that's good. I love doing that every time I have to upload the level. This thing is a setup I've used many times. It's note block, spring, and it puts the spring behind the launcher by bouncing it into the ceiling. And the weird thing about this is that when you get in the clown car, like, getting in the clown car makes it get bounced, but if I just run into it with the clown car, I don't get bounced. Because it's specifically the action of me entering it that like makes it clip into the wall a little bit and bounce over here. And then the piranha does. And there's this little random pit. The little pit is actually for this setup. So, for having weird trigger mechanisms, here's one that I used a few times. Mole in the ground starts climbing when you get near the spot where it's gonna come out, which is in this little pit, and it has to be one lower, so that's why it's in here. So when you get within range of that, this just moves up, hits the bomb, hits the POW, and does the stuff that it does. And here, what hits this is just a mole hits a bomb, and then bounces the spring into, yeah, you see it does that. And that reuses the spring from back over here. Just kind of fun. And I have another mole that just hits the block below the spiny again. So you fall through it. And then this is when this stuff spawns. So you come down here, you hit the Kerzo dot, you bring the spring over here, and then you bounce off it up there, right? So I make you jump twice into this thing just to delay longer to set up the stuff that goes on over here. And there's a bunch of stuff over here. So first, the mushroom. So like the first troll here is that you jump on top of the mushroom to try and avoid dying, and it just carries you into this spike. That was originally done with a winged Buzzy Beetle behind the mushroom, but that was kind of inconsistent, so now consistent, like sometimes you'd be able to collect it or something. So what it is now is that a cloud block and a Goomba are behind the mushroom. Yeah. And then when you get within range of that, we have this beetle. So this beetle happens when you're anywhere, basically anywhere where this track is. When the beetle falls, it'll hit this, that spawns the mushroom, and then it'll come down and hit that POW. And that POW, like this, and then this blue spike pop will be stuck on this conveyor. When the POW gets hit, it kills this, releasing the thwomp, which will fall down and do its thwomp thing. That's one part of the troll. It's the kind of weird part that doesn't matter as much. The real troll is this over here. So this thing, basically fireball is there, and then there's gonna be a cloud behind it, and you get in the cloud and go in one of these pipes. And these are the two death pipes that I showed before, here and down below. Basically, you drop down and try to hold a direction, but you go in pipe. And this setup sucked to build. So when you get to here, you can just barely see that green pipe in the upper right, and you can see the fireball spawn. So that's why it needs such a big delay, is to allow this fireball to spawn. If we weren't following the rules, we could do that, and then it would set up a lot more, like, a lot faster and be better, but of course, can't do that. And this other setup. So basically what I need to do is have a note block in a pretty exact location, then a shell hits it from the side, spawning the cloud up into the middle of this fireball, or as close to the middle as I can get. It's not perfectly lined up, but you'll figure out why when you know all the restrictions on this. So here's what it looks like now. So, first of all, I need the shell, the thing that hits the shell, or I need the shell to start moving at the same time as this note block starts moving, because you're loading in from the side so that it needs to not break or be dependent on timing or whatever. So they're all lined up. Also, I kind of need everything to not despawn, so that if you were to spawn it and then go back and then go forward again, it wouldn't break then either, which means that the note block lands on this holding track, the spring lands on this holding track, and since they're tracked, they won't respawn. And also the shell has to not fall in a pit, it has to die. So if you notice, once that goes around, it goes over there, it gets crushed. When something actually dies, it won't respawn, but if it just like fell down here, it would respawn, and then that would be bad. In here's a troll that was changed a bit, and also a really weird setup. So this up here, we have Piranha is stuck on that muncher and it got pushed into place. When you go to the right, a POW will trigger. That's this POW here. It's exactly lined up to kill this muncher without killing the Piranha, and then the Piranha hits this note block and spawns the other Koopa. It also kills this one. So, weird thing with this troll, originally it was this note block that spawned the second Koopa, but then I noticed people were like jumping on this and going back, so I changed it to this one, or changed it to the middle one. But then people just dodged that too, so I don't know, whatever. Cool, great, awesome. I'm leaving it in the middle just because if someone now goes back, they get epic trolled. Oh yeah, these are all vine blocks, because if they're vine blocks, when you come, they'll respawn, and then when you come back out of this pipe, it'll blow up again instead of just leaving a bomb there. So come over here, you do some of that, or you don't, I guess. Cool, good. Screen position matters, because like those note blocks have to be just a little bit off screen in order for them to actually spawn, and that's why I have these spikes here to keep the player in position for that. Here we have the best troll in the level. This is basically, everything here is basically what it looks like. Nothing behind this. That's just a block with the guy in it. And the extra piece which is down here. It's kind of the thing with this is that I wanted to time this P-switch so that by the time the Piranha, so that as soon as you can't get through this block, I'd have the P-switch activate so you see that it opens itself. So if you're standing anywhere over here, you'll see it, that it automatically triggers instead of just dying. That's the thing. Okay, this setup. It's exactly what it looks like. There's nothing hidden here, and it does that. That's how the game works. Cool. This thing. So this was like the first setup I made for the entire level. There's a note block there, piranha stacked on mole, and it has this guy on it. It has a winged spike top. That was originally a winged Buzzy Beetle, but it works this way better. Or the same. It doesn't, whatever. It doesn't affect the actual mechanic. So this thing is, you go into that pipe. Now, nothing happens. You go in the pipe, you come back, you walk left, and then you walk right to try and damage boost down here, and it bounces up and puts you back in there. This was actually a troll that was kind of required, because the rules say you had to have a troll where you get forced back into a pipe and it puts you in an anti-soft lock. That's this. And the setup is this thing down here, which is really weird. Basically, the first time, this bomb blows up that block, and this one's spawn blocked. And since the bomb dies, if you walk left and then right again, it won't blow up again, so it's just safe. It's just there. Next time, so then you go in the pipe, you come back. Now the bomb can actually respawn, so that'll be gone. It'll do some of that. And that opens up the block behind this bomb. So then when you walk left again, and then walk right, this Muncher and bomb will both respawn, and it'll blow up the POW. And the POW range is lined up exactly so that it hits this mole without hitting that piranha, which, like, basically since the piranha is stacked, it's not able to bounce on the note block, but as soon as it's unstacked, it is able to bounce. So that's what that's doing. And checkpoint. And then this thing. Because both checkpoints have mushrooms, and that's just a fun reference to Mario Maker 1. Oh yeah, Bowser's here. Bowser's here because he is. Oh yeah, Bowser is spawn blocked. That's because his P-switch is over here. So Bowser is here. So this troll, pretty great. The reason I have the spring bounce up off a note block instead of just being there, because if it was just there, it would have to be in the middle like this. And I wanted it to be a little bit more to the right. So, note block. Block puts it offset. You also notice these coins down here, which are a very obvious path, and also these giant things of bricks, which are very obvious. And that's for this thing right here. So, look, you just shoot the bomb. So, this setup. First of all, it's just a P-switch behind there. That's the trigger mechanism. So when you shoot the bomb, it's that opens up this entire path and also turns these into like floor and ceiling and spawns the Bowser. The setup to actually push you over is this thing. On the right we have a flying machine, which I've shown flying machines before. This is a variation that, so normally you'd have like a frozen coin right here and then this cannon just stuck to it and it gets melted. This version has the cannon down here and the block pushes it up into position. It's actually the same sprite count as the regular one, and it follows the rules of the contest, so that's nice. And here we have I guess it's called a Wilford launcher. The clown car is stuck inside this launcher. launcher falls, and instead of falling, it gets into the clown car and goes up. And also, you can clip the clown car in from the bottom and then have it like shoot up into position, which is kind of nice. That gives this space to do stuff. Unfortunately, this note block is just to bounce that up. It doesn't do multiple things. Very sad. Alright. Then you'll have a fire flower as you go in here. This is my epic little fire flower removal device. Because it crushes you but also has spike. Okay. So you come in this room, you have this troll. This is the most recent change I made to the level, is this semi-solid. That's fun. No one has played a version with this semi-solid in, at least not a playthrough that I've seen, but I'm going to assume it works. And yeah, I'm just gonna assume this is good. I didn't send it to Carl and Geek. Okay, the troll here is that this spawns a POW and pushes the boot down through the launcher and down here, so that like if you were to jump up, now you can't get the boot because you needed to be down there. This is another setup that's pretty much just what you can see. For some reason, when an enemy is stacked, it can go down through semi-solids because that's how it works. But also for some reason, when an enemy is stacked in a POW, specifically like a power P-switch is pushing it down, it can pass through the thing that it's stacked on and go down here. If this was like a muncher, it would get crushed, but since it's a POW, it'll push it. Actually, since it's a POW coming out of a block, specifically, it has to be a POW either coming out of a block or sitting on a moving platform in order to do this. But yeah, it's just weird. You come over here, here's the same spring behind launcher setup again. And this is another one of Kerzo's trolls, but I ended up changing it quite a bit from his original one. So basically this is that if you go in here, you get stuck on the spring, and since that blue skull platform is on a half tile, I'm too close to the ground and I can't even ground pound. All I can do is Z, and then it dies. And then you hit the skull platform and see that it opens it up more. So originally this was like a cannon down here and you had the ground pound. Like the only solution was to ground pound here, which is why these two arrows are here as an indicator for that. But now you can do this. Very cool. Basically, the reason I changed it first was because I thought the blue skull platform would be more clear, that you can actually get through it, and then seeing it move the launcher over would be like, oh yeah, now I could get the boot down. That, I think it makes it more intuitive to get through. And then the blue skull platform also moves the thing over to the side, which is the second troll that you probably did see, is that you fall in this hole. Now you're stuck in a one tile. This is a troll I came up with separately from Kerzo's one, where you fall in a one tile gap with the boot because of the launcher lineup. And apparently this thing moving the way it does just happened to line that up perfectly, and it works. So that's nice. That's really cool. Back. And this thing, so this is a really compact and fast setup, so it's kind of hard to see what's going on. So I'll try to explain it. First of all, there are 3 launchers here. There's the small one, and then this one, and then that one. So this one clips into here because the fire bar pushes it in, and then a hidden block gets hit beneath it, and that makes it push to the left. And this is the thing that you would normally do with a note block, but having like a fire bar and a hidden block like this works. And it only works if the launcher is clipped into stuff as the hidden block gets hit, or else it'll just die. So it has to be like this. I'm using a shell even though it would usually be a spike ball in like a normal level. And that block also contains one of the springs that's here. And then this hard block has to exist for this to have something to push against to line up, and then it gets blown up as this falls into place. And this is a double troll. Is that if first you try to not ground pound too hard, and then you see that launcher, but then you ground pound all the way and it like hits the spring up because of a little dust puff, and then they go together and squish you. It's pretty. I'm very happy with this. Also, Kerzo came up with the troll, the hidden launcher troll. It's Kerzo's, but the other part was mine. So another time I was able to like combine our ideas into one epic thing. And also this gets set up barely off screen right after you come out of this pipe. So this entire section has to be like, has to keep this loaded as you run around, so that was pretty... This room was pretty hard to design, but, you know. Alright, also. And other Kerzo section, yay, these 2 trolls. So first, this thing. There's a launcher here, it's spawn blocked, and then so if you go back in the pipe, you get dead. Then the setup where this happens, that is this thing again, but this is the other use of it where when you break these blocks, its trigger range will move down to that position, and then it triggers and blows up this bomb, which blows up this, which activates these launchers to shoot up and put this spring right here so that the shell can bounce off it. Also, the one little thing is this skull platform is on a half height tile, so I need, because that basically keeps the spring in position so that it doesn't like screw up and miss the shell, which was possible before I did that. Also, there's kind of a fun little... I should have not done that. There's a fun little troll here that people may have missed. Actually, I don't know how many people missed it, but if you do this, don't do that. I put in the unnecessary like block in here and like does hidden blocks with the chain chomps and stuff just to make that happen for some fun. Oh yeah, this spawns a dude, and I got the pit and stuff. This thing, pretty great. Pretty much just this guy bounces into the spring and then ground pounds. The only space he has to land is down here on this conveyor, which just immediately puts him in the pit for death. And you get here and there's actually just no troll, it just gives you a mushroom and makes you wait. That's to set up the troll in here. So this kind of looks like a non-suspicious setup. So the idea with this ending was like you jump up there and then it blocks you and there's nothing here and you just die. But then you'd come back and you're like, alright, go that way, and you just get a spring and then you know what happens here. So this little setup, I basically thought of like, well, I could put a pipe behind a skewer, but that's lame. So what if thing to hide a pipe behind is a clown car? Because you have this setup where if you hit a note block from below with a clown car in it, and there's like a semi-solid and stuff, the clown car will get stuck in solid blocks. Actually, any big enemy will get stuck in solid blocks. That is the same tech as, where is it? Here. This thing. It's the same tech as this thing. See, here the muncher goes up into these two ground blocks, and it gets pushed to the right. Back over here, the clown car just goes into the pipe. But if it's just a note block, it'll be aligned with the tile, so it can't actually cover the thing. I need it to be in between tiles. So the note block needs to be moving like this one. But then I need it to be timed when it gets hit, and it needs to, like a lot of things here, it needs to spawn at the same time as the shell gets moving, or else it won't work. So that's why it's lined up exactly how it is. And this just spawns the spring, because you can't place a spring on top of a clown car in this game. And then I have Kaizo blocks and stuff. These Kaizos are just to make you duck on the spring, and then, you know, the troll. This thing up here, kind of fun. That launcher is able to sit, because there's space next to the thwomp. And that also lines it up on a half block. So it's a very nice kind of double use of that. And that's the end, and actually it's not, because I forgot to cover an entire room. So let's go do that. This one here in the pipe. That seems important, you know, just... Okay. Here is in the pipe. So you come in here, and this is where you're looking to get a shelmet. So you're like... Yeah, so... This is, again, the mole detector. Very useful thing, especially when you don't have on-off triggers. Because it's like a remote detector. Like, its range is up here around this little block, but the actual setup is way down here. And basically what this is that we got this bomb is stuck in the launcher. So as soon as the launcher starts to move up, that bomb will blow up, hitting this POW. Killing that. And then the same launcher moves all the way up here, goes to this little space, and then shoots a fish at you. So it's like a double use of everything. So then the real solution was to come over here, do that, and then POW wave will actually come over and like still hit those coins, which is nice. And that gives you the next shelmet, so you can bust through here and then get trolled. I put a hint here because I noticed that some people didn't figure this out as quick as they should have. Some people figured it out immediately, other people took some time, so I added this kind of backup hint. If you go up above the ceiling, you can walk over here and see this, and it's like, hey, hit that block, you idiot. Do that. This little setup with the coins is kind of interesting because you can come in this room with a P-switch active or not with a P-switch active because of the previous one. And this setup basically, if the P-switch is not active, it just drops this coin on the note block and spawns the thing. If the P-switch is active, the POW will drop this coin, this one in the middle. It'll be trapped between all of these. And then the P-switch will run out, dropping the loose coin on the note block. So it works either way. Then we have this thing, winged block, and that's a vine block, so it spawns twice. first time you come in, this doesn't exist. It'll hit the left bomb and destroy only this block. Next time you come in, it'll hit the top bomb, killing this and opening up the hole at the bottom. And also this launcher is just spawn blocked by the one that you have to break to exit the room. So that's that. And here's the ante. It's pretty easy, but you know, it doesn't have to be a hard ante, it just has to be an ante, so that's it. Cool. I think that actually covers it. That's the level. Here's the thumbnail. Oh yeah, this is the death room for the end troll, is that you fall down here. And you fall in the pit in the thumbnail thing. Alright.